with Thanks for joining in, and welcome to Talview's webinar on mastering the art of interview process. And before we start, I just want to do housekeeping rules. It'll be great if everyone could mute their microphones, and for those of you who haven't joined the audio, please join the audio by either going through your computer from WebEx, or you could dial in on the number provided in the invite. In case of any questions or queries, you could direct them towards me, and in the chat box at the bottom right corner, you could let me and ask me any query you have. And let's begin. A quick context on Talview. We had been in the business of interviews and talent engagement for around 4 years now. As you can see on the screen, clients in almost every the major share of Fortune 500 companies. We have top technology companies working with us and top pharma companies as well. We have nonprofit organizations like UNICEF working with us for their video interviews, for their talent, etc. So as you can see, we are sector agnostic. We work with coming to our products. For the past 4 years, we have moved much further than just video assessments. Now we have employer branding platform, which helps employers basically engage just like you engage your leads. If you are in sales, you would understand that lead nurturing is very important, and just the same way engage and attract the best talent or various mobile tools, various tools of PC, etc. And again, we have interaction platform, which sits on top of your existing ATS and helps you provide a unified mobile experience to all your interactions. Video assessments, which is something all are used to provide depth analytics to all the data we capture on our system, and you want an analytic done on that, and we do it for you. Our speaker about Sanjoe, my CEO. He founded Talview in 2012, and he had been driving the entire organization from scratch from 2012. He's really passionate about building technology, especially leveraging the smartphones. And he has worked in MNCs before, like National Instruments, L&T, etc. And he is an alumnus of IIT Bombay. So over to you, Sanjoe.
Welcome everyone to the webinar on mastering art of an interview process. So I like this topic. So all of us know that interview art. There's a way to master it with a little bit of science and a little bit of technology. So during this webinar, we are going to look at various aspects of interview process, what kind of people you want to hire, how you will ensure that you have a process which will help you to hire the kind of people you want, how you will screen and select or screen, give an opportunity to enough number of candidates that you get the best hires you are looking forward to. And you would eliminate the friction by leveraging the modern technology to give flexibility to the candidates and panel during the interview process. In the entire process, leave an impression who are probably the customers of your brand, and also in future will become the employer brand ambassadors for your organization. So that we are going to cover in a nutshell today. So why interview process is so important? So uh, where so you have done clients, so with the right interview process in place, uh, to increase the quality of hire by almost 55%, and that reduce it by more than less than 35%. So that's exactly the important for having the right interview process, which will drive quality and which will also ensure that you get your talent on time. Coming under so many times when it comes when first part of the hiring process where you have to spend time with the hiring manager, understand the job description for which you are to make a hire. Time remain transactional and do the process in a very superficial. Uh, on the left hand side of the slide, we are speaking about personality traits, we are speaking about behavioral attributes, and we also have performance indicators. So this is in a particular order, and that order is in the decreasing order of priority. But what happens in most understanding job description or requisition collection process is we look only at the performance indicators and JD based on the roles and responsibilities of the person for that particular role. Many times ignore what probably are the behavioral attributes which are driving that particular behavior or that particular indicator. More importantly, personality traits which are very critical for the person to give you the results which you intend to have. The- So this particular example which you have on the slide, it's talking about a sales requirement where key performance indicators are obviously asked like how far the lead response, how the salesperson is responding to an inbound lead, the activity volume, the coverage. But if you a job description which only talks about that, you understand that particular role only from that perspective, then it's going to limit your ability to understand who could be your best candidate. So that the process of understanding what behavioral attributes and personality traits are your current best performers from a sales perspective are exhibiting. That edge in terms of a much more deeper understanding of what is the kind of candidate whom you need to look for. So essentially it becomes the first step. So here we can see that uh, the behaviors which can drive such performance indicators are teamwork, cooperation, communication, ability to learn, engage, and mindset come from. So that has a deeper linkage to personality traits like modern curiosity, achievement orientation, and these are things which difficult to nurture, but some skills which you can coach a period of time. But when you're doing the right hire, I think it's always important to ensure that you 80% of coverage in this personality traits from a sales perspective. Once you understand your top performers, so the next process is to ensure that your interviews designed in such a way that perform in every new hire which you are doing. This is exactly how this is that, and that is by asking the right questions. So again, taking the same example. So if once you identify that okay, these are the behavioral attributes and these are the personalities which are going to drive a performing sales guy. So what questions will help your manager to find out whether the prospective candidate have those behavioral attributes. So that is what asking the right question will help you to understand. So each and every question which each interview which the hiring manager is to use should engage to the attributes and which you have already identified in the first step. So, example, again, as a company, Talview, we work with a lot of clients to help them design their entire tool by helping them to set up their question banks, helping them to design their evaluation criteria, also helping them to train the hiring manager on the tool. And one gaps which we see is that while the recruiter might spend a lot of time understanding the nuances of the attributes and traits, that is not passed on to the hiring manager in a structured way. And this kind of scenario where even though a lot of groundwork done from the perspective of designing the right question bank and setting the right evaluation tool, the hiring manager is not trained well to in the right manner. So a serious hand and trust knowledge between the recruiter and hiring manager will ensure that whatever work which we are doing in the first two steps does not end up in not giving results. So you have understood your top performers. You designed your in such a way that you that will help you to understand your top performers. Right now, the next step is all about tapping into the unconsumed talent, and this is the most important aspect when it's to having the right hire, because many times we compromise on the quality of talent because we always are running out of time. So we have time in terms of when we need to, and most of the time we meet 6 or 8 candidates, and even if we are not finding the best fit, just the effort which goes into scheduling, which goes into arranging the interviews, which goes into doing the actual interview, you uh, compromising on the quality of hire and probably take a compromise hire. So that's exactly what we believe a lean screening technique like asynchronous interview can eliminate. So, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with asynchronous interview. For the benefit of those who are not familiar, so the screening methodology where you can do interviews with predefined questions. So, the kind of questions which we discussed about in the previous two steps, those can be configured into the system. A full evaluation sheet, and you can invite as many candidates as you can. So candidates are candidates who are applied to you on your career portal, or these are candidates we have collected or found on LinkedIn or collected from job boards. You can send to as many candidates as you want, and at according to their convenience from their smartphone or from their laptop with a webcam, can respond these questions in the video. And manager at the end of the process can quickly review all the candidates who submitted the video and decide to have a long conversation or have an in-person discussion with. So this helps to come up with a quick shortlist or from 20 candidates to 5 or 100, 20 upon the volume of hiring which you're handling. And on an average, the hiring manager end up only spending only 5 minutes per candidate. So this is the real difference when it comes to helping leveraging technology for screening. So one of the other methods of using a screening technique is video proctored written assessments. So many times you would want to have written assessment to the candidate, but given the nature of written assessments, especially if you want to do it online, it's prone to practices. So you can verify the authenticity of a written assessment, whether it's a technical, whether it's a code test, or a behavioral assessment where you want to ensure that the person who has taken the test is a candidate who has actually applied for the job. So that assessment kind of helps you to do that by eliminating need for proctoring all the candidates using the webcam or the front-facing camera of the device which the candidate is using to take the test, and recording the complete video feed of the candidate. And the system will generate auto alerts which at the end of the test, along with the score, the rest of the report, you will get these alerts, and then alerts you can cross verify video feed of the candidate, and then call on whether to disqualify the candidate if there was a possible malpractice. So technologies or leaner techniques like this will instead of probably 25 or 8 candidates whom you're typically screening for a role, you probably screen 20 or 25. And another beauty of these techniques are these are largely dependent of location. So you can reach out to candidates who are probably in a different city or also in a different time zone and who is not available for a discussion straight away. This kind of ensures that you reach out to a lot more candidates and you get probably 5 candidates who are best suited or who have the potential to become the next best performer for you. So having the screening, so the next step is to do the selection. And talking about selection, I think a lot of factors which we spoke in terms of screening, whether it's in terms of the candidate having to take a day's leave and travel the way to employer's office while the candidate is already working elsewhere, and also the candidate has to have wait in the reception or have long waiting hours if there are multiple interviews happening in sequence. So those friction can be eliminated if we leverage technologies like a live interview. So live interview is nothing but a video conference, but it's built in for interviewing. So for if you are doing live for um, it comes up with provisions like whiteboard. So there are multiple tools which are out today similar to give you provisions where you can ask the candidate to write a piece of code while the discussion is happening between the panel and the candidate, or the candidate can upload a presentation and take the panel through that presentation if you hired for a sales or a consulting role, or can draw diagrams if he's hired for a role which requires him to demonstrate process flows or any of those aspects. So a kind of tool. Today again, every candidate is well with smartphone. They are always interacting with their colleagues, with their friends, all of them over video, over internet. So very comfortable doing interaction online and ensuring that you use these technologies for hiring. You can eliminate a lot of friction, which can typically result again in elongated time to hire, because when the candidate is available, probably the panel was not in town. The candidate is not in a position to leave, and probably so scenarios can be avoided, and from the comfort of their smartphone or from the comfort of their home, they do the interview, and this also ensures that the time to hire is reduced significantly. Video interviews is obviously one of the ways of eliminating friction when it comes to selection. But the technology of smartphone can be leveraged in multiple ways. So the screenshots on the slide give you multiple examples of how this can be done. So if you look at the first screenshot, it actually shows a mobile interface, their interaction which happens between the candidate and the employee during the hiring process. So the candidate can track with respect to his hiring cycle progress, whether it's in the screening stage or whether it's in the selection stage, whether it's in the onboarding phase. So he for every application, mobile app, he can track what is happening that particular job application which he has made. He can continuously interact with the recruiter over a system like instant messaging. So So this kind of system will ensure that all the friction which is associated with having to call up the candidate all the time, or the candidate not getting an update from you in real time, all of that can be eliminated because it's much more easier to communicate over instant messaging. So and that that also ensures that the brand an employer which the candidate is carrying forward is of employer who is responsive, who is considerative of the candidate's requirement. And, so one of the other way of using smartphone is your onboarding or application process, where you can use a smartphone to help to scan and upload documents right from smartphone, rather than having a scanner and then having to scan everything and then taking a device and then having to upload it separately. So I think the smartphone again can help you to eliminate a lot of friction when it comes to the hiring process. Next step is all about creating an unforgettable experience for the candidate, because candidates are not just uh, employees; they're also probably customers of your brand. They are going forward. They can also be the brand ambassadors of your brand, of your employer brand, and that's why it's very critical that experience which candidate have during the entire hiring process is very seamless. It's very clean, and the candidate uh, move is not hired. They move forward with a very pleasant experience, and they are they're open to applying for another position in the company as and when it opens up, or they're willing to recommend the company even if they didn't have positive outcome as far as their job application is considered. And I think that again comes from using technology in the right manner. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is also ensure that the process is seamlessly structured, whether it's from the way the interview is designed to the way the hiring manager is interacting with the candidate while he was part of the process, and the results or the way the updates are communicated to the candidates. This, I think, leaves an impression on the candidate's mind, will help over a period of time build an excellent employer brand, which is very critical as you build your pool of candidates. For we touched upon this in one of the previous slides. So today, points for a lot of employees are the fact that the recruiters have to deal with a lot of candidates day in, day out, and it's very difficult for them to keep track of the with any one particular candidate. And this, in fact, results in poor experience for the candidate, and it often leads to a poor review on Glassdoor, or a poor review on many of the job boards or social media. They are, I think it's very critical us to ensure that such incidents are avoided, and that's where query management tool like what we have on the screen can become very handy. So this you to uh, manage each and every query from the candidate like a ticketing system, have an overview of all the with the candidate in a single interface, and ensure that there is no experience as not getting a response, or somebody talking to a candidate without having the right context happens. I think this becomes even more critical when in one example which I can remember, one of our clients had an instance where it had applied to a particular position and had taken couple of reviews, but after there was no feedback to the candidate, and the candidate ended up writing to the CEO of the company. This is a Fortune 500. He ended up writing to the CEO of the company, his experience. So, so what is the impact which you derive out of my experience and the art of an interview process? So, we want to some of the experiences of friends who have leveraged either the interview technology or the video proctored uh, talent engagement and query management tool. So, one of our client, uh, which is one of the uh, pharma companies in the APAC region. So they had a significant challenge when it comes to uh, uh, give, they were hiring uh, facilities across some two odd cities, and there became a challenge when it came to candidates across all these cities. And had created question banks and created evaluation forms, but it was very difficult to implement and track of who is making use of it and who is doing it in the right manner. The hiring managers used to largely drive because hiring is largely decentralized, and there was a lot of concern on quality of hires, and this impacting the training process where there was a large amount of candidates who were dropping out at the end of the training period. So they introduced the asynchronous video interview as a mandatory step during the hiring process, and that the which are being asked, those are standard questions or 50 cities. Answers which are being evaluated and being rated are on the same parameters which help them to ensure that across 250 cities, the same quality of candidates, and they had the same quality of hires, and this improved the outcome of training and was helpful in reducing their training outs by almost 30 to 40%. Client is Tata Consulting, that they are one of the largest technology companies in the globe, and they had a typical challenge when it comes to their fresh recruiting. So what was happening was they had to process around 400,000 candidates every year, and it was being a nightmare for them in terms of logistics, because they had to multiple countries. They had to logistics in terms of uh, helping all these candidates do the round written test with them, and that having the video proctored written test helped them to ensure that logistics is taken off them, and could they could process a lot more candidates simultaneously without having to test centers in multiple countries or in multiple cities, and could essentially screen out around 60% of application in the written test format without having to handle any logistics for that. Client is which is again a Fortune 500 manufacturing organization who had the challenge of hiring an entire uh, hiring the workforce of an entire country in a short span of time. So one of the biggest challenge for them was that all the managers were in one location and all the candidates whom they had to hire were in location. So video interview ensured that of this in a short span of time. So they had to hire the entire labor workforce of around 800 odd people in 3 months, and they could manage all of that without any challenges using video interview, because it gave them a lot of convenience in terms of um, scheduling, in terms of the panel, the time the panel spent in reviewing the candidates. Yeah, with that, we come to the end of the presentation as such. So we are on 15 minutes for the Q&A. Depending upon what you have, we can have the questions Q&A session right now.
Thank you, Sanjoe, for the insight into how to master an interview process. And anyone who has a question, please feel free to key in at the bottom right corner of the screen where the chat box is, and we will questions, or in case we have a lot of questions, we'll get back to you or my. So, a question for you, Sanjo. Um, he's asking how do we do all these processes? How do we handle all of this single platform? Or
So I think the key is how do you plan the entire process. So if you look at the interview process and the 5 steps which we discussed here today, all of them are equally critical. So without understanding your best performers, you can't ensure that the rest of the process or the technology which is available today can help you with the quality of hires which you want to do. And it's always better to start small, probably start with one or two openings which you have at this point of time, or try to identify the attributes and traits which are going to help you to hire people with the skills, and use the technology to ensure that you have data which you can track over a period of time. Again, using technology, you have a continuous record of what happened in the past, and the data which you have, you can do continuous improvement of your process. So I think that it's all about starting small and then leveraging technology to stay focused and kind of have a continuous feedback loop which help you to ensure that you are the best process over a period of time, or you evolve a best process over a period of time.
question for you from Pranav. He knows that Wipro uses Talview for Wipro BPS in India. He is looking at implementing this in the US as well. He just wants to know if and how he can customize this for his hiring filters over there.
So Talview as a platform is and sector agnostic. So we today serve companies to hire candidates across 100 plus countries. So the, the specific which he has to do in terms of adopting this for organization, other than probably working with us, working with the Talview customer success managers to do the right processes for him from day one. So I think that should be good enough to get started.
for you. It's from Jason. Jason is asking if he needs direct personnel to manage this entire process, or is it fairly automated that a single recruiter can actually do his recruiting and the entire process by himself?
Yeah, I think here again the beauty of tech is that you can make available with very little effort. So once you have do the initial configuration of the platform and define what kind of interviews you want to have when it comes to the nature of questions and the nature of evaluation which you want to have which you want to make happen on the platform. This is a fairly automated process where you can just plug in candidates as and when you have candidates, and the system can take a significant load out of you when it comes to for candidates, scheduling the interviews with panel, and even collating the results and actually taking candidates through multiple steps in the was able to answer the question.
He's asking what is the ROI we have seen until now.
So I think so one of the recent video interview and the mobile-based hiring platform as such is still a nascent technology, and the advantage of being an early adopter of a nascent technology is that you always have a high ROI. And so from that perspective, we have seen a lot of clients even deriving sometimes 500, 600% in the ROI from the platform, because since you're an early adopter and since there is immense potential in terms of the tool can bring forth, this gives you a lot of opportunities to become an early adopter and derive an ROI from the tool. So the areas where the approaches we discussed or the tools which we have been able to help our clients. So one perspective of the time to hire. So in one of the slides we shared some data about that. We had clients who were able to bring the time to hire by up to 30 to 40%, and we also had clients who had quality of hire as a significant concern, and they were able to improve the quality of hire from 40 to 50%. Some areas where the tool or the approaches which we discussed is one is with the amount of time and effort which is spent by the and also by in the interview process, and you can significantly reduce that, automating a lot of routine mundane tasks which are associated with hiring today, and make tool drive those routine tasks. Questions, so we can conclude the webinar.
So thank you all for making it here, taking you out for joining us for this webinar. And in case you have any further queries, please get in touch with us on info@talview.com. And any other details you need, you could find them on our webpage, www.talview.com. And in case of any further demo or any personalized demo or discussion you need, please fill the form on our webpage and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you all. Have a good day ahead.
Have a nice day.